All right, guys, what is good, and welcome back to the Versus series today. And today, it's a new week, not and a new deck, actually. I was going to say not a new deck, but actually a new deck. So Monarch's going to be put back for a little bit, just for like one locals, just because I really want to play DDDs for this new Friday locals that we're going to have here. So something to also bring up is there's a regional coming October 25th, which I will be taking the Monarchs to. So arguably, hear me out. Like, I probably shouldn't be playing DDDs. I should probably be really grinding more with Monarchs. But I paid all that money to like pick up the deck prior to it, you know. So like I've been kind of waiting for it to come out. So I wanted to pick it up, and we're just going to take it to locals and see how we do. Like I said, it's just going to be. I know last video I literally said, oh, I don't want to take, you know, a deck to locals from 1 week and then it'd do terrible because I don't know the deck. The deck, you know, like might be optimized. And then, like, I'm like, this deck's garbage. I know I literally said I don't want to do that, but this is going to be a little bit different. We're just going to visit DDDs for this week on the Versus series, and then once this regional's done, we'll probably go back and hit DDDs pretty hard. And I want to showcase you guys my list over here and all that fine stuff, just to talk you through, you know, like my options and my stuff. Like, before this comes out, man, this is the official list will drop on the channel when I feel comfortable, but this is like a training wheel list because, like, I'm still learning the deck. There's definitely some theories and stuff that I need to like brush out and everything, but yeah. Anyway, let's just hop on over here onto the mat and show you guys the deck list. Actually, hold up. Remember, if you guys enjoy this type of content, hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button, ding that notification bell if you guys want to help support the channel directly. You can do so by becoming a member, putting any little bit you can into the channel will get put right back into it. And then on top of that, don't forget to check out our sponsors down, links down below. Get 15% off your order from Dueling Guard. They have awesome products and awesome like TCG merch and stuff like that. So yeah, get 15% off your order at checkout, which I might say is quite a bit considering some places do like 5% off. 15% might cover your shipping, which is kind of like what a percentage code should do, right? So anyway, to the deck profile. All right, guys, so here's going to be my DDD deck list. This is currently a 40 card list. There is some training rules still on here and some theory that I'll talk about that I'm not seeing being played mainstream. I know that DDD Dave put out a video and stuff like that, was featured on Sam's channel showing his deck profile, but I just feel like that list is just Brick City. And because you're going to play so much non-engineers, going to brick on, you're going to have no gas. Like, your one card starter is going to get stopped by one Ash Blossom, and you're going to have a handful of hand traps and no starter, and your starter is going to be sitting there. I'd rather play gas. That's just how I feel like combo decks should be played. I don't think that a combo deck like DDD should be taken with that approach, but again, I am not the DDD master. That belongs to Jacked YuGiOh and, you know, of course, DDD Dave himself. So that's just my input. But anyway, we're going to quickly jump in here to the deck profile. I am on to triple Kepler, which makes sense, right? One card starter. Triple DDD D0 Doom Queen Machinex. Again, another one card starter. You could potentially play Nightmare Throne if you wanted to. You could play Piri Airy Map. You could play, you know, that other card. It's like a discard a card, search a level 8 Fiend, which is right here. That card I would actually consider simply because it is a searchable Lava Golem. You can search Lava Golem, break boards, which is something that's pretty cool. But that's it for the one card starters. Aside from like the gate, you know, the gates and stuff like that, they count as a one card starter as well. Moving on to extenders, I rock the double DDD Scale Surveyor, triple Griffin, and then this card is probably like the most controversial card I've seen, is DDD Count Surveyor. You either play this card at 3 or you play it at 1. People like love and hate this card. So the logic behind it is it's an extender, right? You discard a card, summon it. And a few other of the DDD players have said, well, you're only going to be discarding bricks. That's not true at all. The bricks are more optimal. You'd rather pitch the Necro Slime. You'd rather pitch the Land Soldier. You'd rather pitch those, yes. And you don't want to open those, so it kind of like makes that. But you're going to open like consistently 2 Keplers. You're going to open probably Kepler, Doomsday. You're going to have like redundant names in your hand, so it gives you plenty of time to discard. Also, just to speak on right here, if you discard Griffin and bring it back later, you get your search for your DDD card anyway. So like it's really cool. It's a level 1 or scale 1 pendulum. I don't know if this is correct. When I see a card that says discard a special summon, I think that's kind of a crazy extender, especially in a deck that has graveyard effects or that can reborn from the graveyard as much as this deck can with like Genghis and the Abyss or Ragnarok. I just think this card is not a mandatory 3 of, but it should be in the deck in some form or fashion. I've chosen to go with 3. So yeah, I really like it. Also, it searches this card right here, which is DDD, the Divine Zero King Rage. And not a lot of people are playing this card. I understand why, don't get me wrong. But in my mind, this deck gets cooked by Fua and everything, right? You can play Ash, Drolls, Called by Crossout. You can have essentially 7 forms of answers to Fua, but if you play this guy right here, you have more answers to it. And this is not really an answer to it. This is a insurance policy against it. So as soon as you get Fua, you summon out this guy, and then you use this guy's effect. This is all theory, right? I've not been able to practice this. It hasn't come up yet. It almost came up in stream. You guys can check it out. I was streaming a couple days ago, but you use this to tribute another DDD monster, and you stop hand effects, and then like any card they draw, Fua's dead outside of Imperm, but the deck will be able to play through 1 or 2, or 3 Imperms. I mean, like, not say consistently, but you should be able to play through the 1 or 2 Imperm that they either open or they might draw into off the Fua by the time you get to it. But that was the theory behind this card, is like this card could also search this, and this card, if you were able to put this card out in the field, which you could do so, you can also summon it out via the gate. What is it called? The Dark Contract with Zero King. You can summon it out conveniently. Zero King, Zero King. You can summon this guy out and then tribute another DDD monster, and then your opponent can't hand trap you. So like that was the theory behind playing 3 of this, because this could also search this. Even though I don't think you have the ability to get this guy out on the field, possibly it's another way, like you can use this to be searched, then use Count Saver to pitch it to the graveyard, and then use Ragnarok to bring it back, and then at that point, depending when you get Fuad or whatever, you get to the point. But again, this is, I feel like Training Wheels, essentially. I think this card has been generally, the Scale Surveyor has been generally the better of the two. You want to play 3 of this because it's essentially another DDD Griffin that just special summons it out to become level 4. But I've been really enjoying Count Surveyor here. Also, to bring up, it is another 1.5 card combo. You just discard it and you search out Kepler, or you search out your Zero Queen Machinex, because it can search out a monster or a fiend, a DD monster with 0 attack or defense. So you can search out either of these. So it's again another 1.5 card starter, allowing you to pitch the bricks or redundant names in your hand to the graveyard. So I don't know. I feel in my math mind like it is a solid card to play. But anyway, moving on to the combo pieces, essentially, which I think is 1 Copernicus, 1 Orthros, 1 DDD, Oblivion King, Abyss Ragnarok. Again, like I have the Go King Rage here, but again, maybe this is just me being too goofy. But you could potentially cut it. But the theory behind this is, insurance with Fua. You get Fua, you summon this tribute, like I said, and then your opponent can't. And all they have to do, you better hope to draw 3 Imperms, right? Otherwise, these other cards are staying in their hand, and they're going to have to reshuffle back their hand, because then you just send it. You full send it. And, yeah, that's the thought. I don't know yet. I got to work it out. I'm almost certain there's lines with this guy where you're safely able to do it under Fua. I just got to sit down and finally hit the lab, and that might be for after the regionals that come up October 25th. I'll be able to sit down and really work to the lab with this deck, because I do my best to try and like figure stuff out on my own, using YouTube as a resource and other players as a resource when needed. But I'm still living by this card. I feel like if any combo deck had a card that said you can't respond or you can't activate cards and effects in the hand, like you would play it, right? So it's just like that theory is like you'd play it. So for the final 2 DDD monsters, we're on to 1 Slime and 1 Land Soldier. This card's insane. I didn't really like the Defense Soldier too much, but I mean, it's possibly a word you can play it. You could also play, it's called Thomas, I believe, in a format instead of this right here, because sometimes you open a Ragnarok and it kind of stinks to open it. So like you could play Thomas as additional Gilgamesh, like, placing, but I don't know. Again, I'm still working out the kinks and everything, but that is definitely an option. If you don't want to play the King Rage, you could definitely play that Thomas, and then Thomas can add you back from the graveyard, and then you can Pendulum Summon, or add you back from the face-up extra deck. So I mean, like, it's definitely doable, man. Like, I feel like maybe that should be, if this card doesn't work out, Thomas should definitely go in, because there's been hands, even without Thomas, where I open Ragnarok, and then my Gilgamesh has to play suboptimal scales, and you just don't like, that just doesn't seem, placing suboptimal scales just don't sound right. At least Thomas is an optimal scale you could place. We're playing the Triple Contract. Again, another 1-card starter. Dark Contract with the Zero King. I think, again, this card's also a 1-card starter too, but you have to have another card. 1.5 card, because you have to have a card to destroy, but this card's insane. 1 Dark Contract with the Witch. You could potentially cut this. So again, I'm new to the deck, so I'm probably not playing the deck correctly, but I'm really ending on hands without a DDD in my hand. I'm ending with hand traps in my hand. And this card, you have to pitch a DDD or Dark Contract. So either I'm doing something wrong, or it's just not coming up enough, but you could definitely play the other one that prevents your opponent from like fusion summoning and using monsters for tribute. You can't target DDDs. That would be 10 times better. And actually, that card is in the mail, or actually at my local game store, ordered by the shop, so I just got to go pick it up. But yeah, this card does allow you to be Dark Ruler, though. You just chain this and then chain chain a Siegfried, Gearfried. And that's pretty cool, but that's it for the DDDs. That's it actually, just for the whole DDD engine currently that I'm testing. So yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big chunk, because you have a lot of space here for non-engine. The deck really gives me Mermail vibes, that you do have like a 15 to 12 card space. You have more, but again, I feel like you'll start bricking in. From what I've been like watching in the community, anybody else who has tried DDD Dave's like list, which is like 18 or 20 hand traps, have had a horrible time just bricking on hand traps, and that's not what we're trying to do. So like not bring anything, you know, whatever works for you, whatever, you know, favors you, you do it. But just for me in this list, we're just on to 15, which of course we play triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This is again FUA insurance, triple Imperm. You could definitely play Droll in here as well, just because again FUA insurance. But since I am testing the Count Surveyor and the King Rage, I wanted to try and see if that line was more consistent. And then if it's not, then you just cut out Rage and you cut down the DDD Count Surveyor, and then you just fit in Droll. So then like you have essentially the 7 ways to counter the Mulchummy. But Impulse, one of the main reasons to play this deck, in my opinion. You can abuse Impulse, which is really nice. You're also playing the FUA because, again, you want to... This card's literally game-changing. It's literally Max C, man. It would not surprise me if eventually sometime, since Max C's still banned, if this card gets, you know, limited or something, because it is the only Mulchummy I see that's being played consistently in every deck. And you know how Konami is about that type of stuff. But, again, that right there is 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 hand traps, and then these cards are definitely, you know, optional. I feel like Call By and Cross Out, if you're playing FUA, might as well play them. Triple Tactics you don't have to play, but this is like the holy trinity, in my opinion, of non-engine that you can play. But yep. Anyway, that's it for the main deck. Again, 40 card main deck. Like I said, just working on some different ratios, trying something different out with the King Rage and stuff. So we'll see if that comes to fruition and stuff. But anyway, I will jump on in over here to the extra deck. So the extra deck, I think there's a little bit room to maneuver. I just think I have a lot of training wheels in the extra deck until like I get proficient with the deck. Then I'll start cutting things, etc. You know. But anyway, to start out with, you're on to your links, which is triple Gilgamesh and the 1 DD Sky King Zeus Ragnarok. You definitely don't need 3 Gilgamesh. I was only playing it because I couldn't figure out what else to put, but maybe you put in a Zeus, maybe you put in a Typhon, you know, like you definitely do not need 3. But I would thought for sure in my limited experience with the deck that I would need 3, and even with my limited experience, I did not need the 3 Gilgamesh. So you definitely could cut this for like a Zeus or a Typhon, which I will probably end up doing before locals. For the XYZs, you got the Wise King Solomon, DDD Wave King Caesar, the King Tell, the High Wave King Caesar, and then double Zeus Machinex. These are your XYZs. I mean, the deck is very xenophobic in the sense that it doesn't like, you know, once you literally draw the first DDD card, you're locked into DDDs almost. So like this is pretty crazy. You know, King Tail almost play two King Tail, man, almost. But this searches your Dark Contract. Another card I wanted to think about testing is that old DDD players used to play was King of the Swamp. It would make making the Wave King Caesar a little bit better because then like you can fuse past certain disruptions. But I know like the only thing you're using Wave King here for is to search out the Dark Contract. But like I don't know, like I kind of miss not playing Dark Contract with the Swamp. Like sometimes you get disrupted, so then at least hard making, you know, establishing the Ragnarok, making Gilgamesh with Dark Contract, bring back, you know, play, you know, like I think that there is definitely room for the Dark Contract with the Swamp if in like preference and play styles if you want to. But maybe that's something we'll try moving forward. For Synchros, we have the first King Clovis, and of course, DDD Cursed King Siegfried, one of my favorite DD monsters. This card just straight walks with aura, man. It's just a Spell and Trap Negate, but like this artwork is just sweet. As I'm a huge Fate Stay Apocrypha, I'm a Fate Stay fan, and Fate Stay Apocrypha, Siegfried was one of my favorite characters in the show. And then let's just go ahead and show you guys the fusions, which I'm playing one DDD Flame High King Genghis, one Little Genghis, and one of the Dimensional King Arc Crisis. There's not really much to talk about. This card is literally insane. This card is, along with, you know, your Clovis and your Wise King Solomon, once they get banished, this card literally just clears everything turn 3. You can have your board broken, and that's okay. And that's one of the things like I noticed in my testing was like my board could get completely broken with droplets and stuff, but as long as this card was in my extra deck, I was fine because like they can't kill me, and this card just comes out and just clears everything. And you have enough clapback to bait certain limited interruptions and stuff like that, so when this guy summons, he sticks. And his effect goes through. Little Genghis is part of the combos, like I said. And then, of course, High King Genghis is not common, I've noticed. But again, it's just one of those spots. In theory, he's a Spell and Trap Negate on your turn only. And I had an instance in testing where I was playing against the White Forest, which, of course, is still a very good deck. Black Goat Laughs was in the graveyard, and I was getting to a line to make the High Flame King Genghis so that I could negate that. Otherwise, it's just hitting in-perms. And then, you know, maybe when you're going second to a field, you summon him because then you can start hitting, like, Spell and Traps in the back row, you know, like the Draco Tail Spell and Traps and stuff like that. Maybe that's something you can do, but I'm not totally sold on him yet. He might just come up in niche interactions, but again, maybe that's another cuttable card for, like, Zeus and then Typhon, and you just have, you know, a little bit more utility in your extra deck. But That is it for the main and the extra. I do not have a side deck put together just yet. I'll probably rush and get one done before it's time for locals. But other than that, man, I think I'm just going to go out. We're going to go hiking today, so I'm just probably going to maybe show some B-roll of hiking and stuff like that. And, you know, without that, let's just stay tuned for locals. So, guys, we actually did not go out and hike. We just went to the local lake that's close nearby. It's a beautiful lake, or Lake Minnetonka. The water had receded due to, I think they said they drained it a little bit for the winter or the fall. So, like, the water was really down below. Like, all the spots here, like, you normally wouldn't get access to because it'd be, you know, like, deep in water. So here we're able to, like, walk through and see it. And there's a lighthouse conveniently in the middle of Nebraska. Who would ever have thought there'd be a lighthouse here? But it's a beautiful lighthouse, and we are going to walk up it and show you guys the entire trip up there. But just so you guys know, literally, like, 2 years ago in September, I was hit in a very, like, life-changing, life-threatening car accident, which ended up breaking my left leg pretty bad. So, like, stairs are not my forte, so that's why we had a little hesitant there. So 4 flights of stairs, we're going to make it up here. My arch enemy. These stairs would be terrible to fall down, but it's really tight in there. You know, like, again, it's kind of wild to think in the middle of Nebraska, where it's a landlocked state, you know, like, outside of this lake here. What was the purpose of this lighthouse? I'd have to, like, deep dive into the history to figure it out, but I think it's so important for you guys to do this type of stuff, even, like, a little bit before locals, to clear your mind, man. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! in its sense, and, like, almost any competitive hobby you have can, like, envelop you and cause you to, like, lose sight of, like, the fun of the reason you're doing it. So being able to go out and do, like, these, like, really good exercises and stuff like that, touching grass essentially allows you to kind of, like, dissociate and reset, so that way you can come back in with a better mindset and you can just be ready. This ain't even the top. This is literally, like, halfway, I think, the second flight of stairs. And I ended up having a gimbal. I bought a gimbal, like, a year or 2 years ago, and I never got to use it, and now I'm, like, able to use it. I've been, like, contemplating on using it for, like, some other projects and stuff. But anyway, finally reaching the top here. So going to give you guys the full 360 view of from the lighthouse here of beautiful Lake Minnetonka. And I think, man, like I said, it'd be a terrible, terrible time to slip and fall. I think it's kind of ironically funny to catch, you know, on the camera. The fall down the stairs would be something that maybe would be hilarious. But anyway, yep, a beautiful, you can kind of hear in the background there, a boat. I'm going to try and focus in on it here so you guys can see it. But pretty much, guys, I think that's it. We're just going to go ahead and hop into locals next. So stay tuned for that local footage and everything while we review the matches. All right, guys. So here we are into game number 1 versus RB Earth Machine, maybe it's just RB Pile, but this is not a good locals for me, man. I forgot a few effects. My deck build was kind of, like, showed through the, what is it called? King Rage going out of my deck, dude. Like, I understand, like, I got to utilize it in the sense of I was able to protect my lines, like getting food and stuff, but I literally have seen that card in, like, so many of my opening hands. It's gone. I don't care. I'd rather just send it with Fua or Ash the Fua. Heck, at this point, I'd rather just main deck Droll. The fact that this card literally has bricked me up more times than a brick house, like, I'm over it. But we start our turn by normal, summoning out our Kepler to search gate, and then, like, that's all. We're off to the races here. I do make a major misplay this game, which does end up costing me the game pretty well. I like chain block my my William King Tell, but then I forget to resolve the effect, which makes my inboard miss a particular, you know, boss monster called Caesar, which is 2 disruptions, which could have potentially, you know, allowed me to, like, stop everything that's going to happen. But I forget that. I just blink that out. We use Dark Contract with the King Rage, or Dark Contract with, I think it's Dark Contract with King Rage, to go ahead and summon out the Copernicus to go ahead and dump. I'm going to go ahead and send the Soldier from the deck to the graveyard, and then Soldier's an insane card. These new wave of DDD cards are so insane. But yeah, this locals, man, really just proved to me that, you know, like, hey, you should have stuck with the game plan. I know in the very beginning of the video, I was all like, oh, I should just, I'm only switching to the deck for this 1 week, and I shouldn't be doing that, and the universe heard me and decided to reward me for it by showcasing me this. So I'm making Wise King Solomon to go ahead and search, and it looks like I'm gonna get hit with a hand trap. Impermanent Solomon, which is okay. I mean, it's, like, kind of like an interesting, like, waste of a hand trap in a way. It can hurt potentially, right? Like, in certain instances, but most of the time, as long as you're, like, better than me, you should open another extender to where, like, it was just bait. But we end up overlaying on top of it King Tail to go into Gilgamesh. And see, I go Chainlink 1, Gilgamesh, Chainlink 2, Tail, and I forget to resolve Tail. And it's just, you know,
misplay city here, but, you know, it's my first time playing the deck at a local setting outside of, like, private testing, you know, so, I mean, it's all right. Everyone's human, man. Anyone who comes in the comment section and trying to say, or anybody who comes into anybody's comment section and trying to believe that, you know, like, oh, misplays, like, man, you are not Jesse Cotton. You are not the, you know, the GOAT right now, Triff. You've literally misplayed just as much as anyone else. Sit back. Keep your ungood comments to yourself. I'm so kind of over those type of comments popping into other people's videos where people just love to sit back from behind the keyboard and comment, thinking that they're just so much better of a player and stuff like that when they've made just as much, if not equally or more, same mistakes as anyone else. Yeah, so it's a learning experience. That's all it is, right? But yeah, so we end up pendulum summing out. We have Gilgamesh out on field, establishing the 2 scales, but it looks like I put down, I have Griffin in scale, I have Orthros out, so I can synchro into Siegfried, but I think I'm just trying to figure out, right there, I noticed that I forgot to resolve the tell, and I was like, what can I do? Can't believe I forgot the tell, but it's locals, you know, it's not private testing, so, like, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to send it, man. We're going to go up here into our Zeus, and then Zeus will give us an additional Pendulum Sun, which is so strong, man. This Link 3 is just crazy. It's just kind of why it's fair, man, because the card's like 2200 attack, which means it can be attacked over. And I think that's the fair thing about the card, is it being such a low attack. And the monster effect negate is nice as long as it activates in the hand. It would have been kind of insane if they said hand or graveyard, or if they like just said monster effect in general. But as far as like DDDs go, I don't think DDDs have like just a plain Jane monster effect negation. I think that this is the closest thing they got to it. But I think we Pendulum Summon... Yeah, so we Pendulum Summon... No, oh, maybe we do. Pendulum Summon, effect to destroy, and destroy their contract. And then I get to Pendulum Summon again. Go for Siegfried. Or I don't think that was the Pendulum Summon. That wasn't the first Pendulum Summon. I have it sped up, so I can't like really hear the chatter and everything that well. But I just make Siegfried, Machinex, and Zeus and pass. I mean, like, that's still, like, technically... it's actually nothing. Like, I totally goofed that. Like, Machinex is just sitting there doing nothing. So my inboard's literally just a Spell and Trap negate and a Monster Effect in hand negate. Like, that's just so horrible. Such a terrible inboard. That could have been better. At least there should have been a Siegfried on it at the minimum, you know? But the RB player is going to draw for turn. And we're going to see the special summon of Cutter. Normal summon of Gear Frame effect to go ahead and, you know, search and add. Which I think you search for Class Bar or something like that in Class Bar Special, unless he's already opened Class Bar, which is just terrible luck, but it is what it is. But if he does search Class Bar, we negate it, but he searches out of the Fortress and use Fortress's effect. So I can't stop Fortress, it's inherent, you know what I mean? Like, I just can't do anything about it. So he can pitch Fortress plus another... He can pitch Fortress for Fortress, which is a crazy thing that... because Konami says so, right? He can just pitch it, and yeah, it's just wild. Card's crazy. Pitch it plus another Gear Frame to summon it back, and that's 3 bodies. He has 2 bodies on the field. That's for his Machine Smith combo, which we're going to go see into the RB Thruster, I believe that's what that one is. I'm not too familiar. I just know Brute Blues and Crook Shepherd and Cutter, and then... Those are the ones that I have, like, memorized here. I think I can actually pull up the whatchamacallit, the RB cards here on my computer screen, so while I voice over this, so I can have them up so I can at least commentate a little bit better. Funk Dock is put down, and Funk Dock's actually an insane card because it allows you to, whenever something gets destroyed, it floats out from the deck, which is awesome as well. And then, of course, Cutter... I think Cutter's a Spell and Trap negate or something like that. Cutter into Clockwork Knight. Okay. Right. Cutter is a quick effect. If this card of hand, destroy this card, and if you do negate the effects of a Spell and Trap card. So it's Spell and Trap negate. And then, of course, there's the Vulcan Booster. That's the link too. But he's going to go ahead and I think link on up here into Brute Blues. Brute Blues during the main phase can add himself a RB card. And the one card is RB Stage Landing, which is not a once per turn like E-Telly for the deck, which is just kind of crazy, man. Kind of wild. But he's going to cross out my Ash Blossom. which is brutal. I don't know, man. Like I feel like being a combo player, you're always for like cross out talents and call by. You're like for those cards, right? Because you need them. You love using them against your opponent to resolve your effects. But man, when you get hit by them, isn't it just kind of like the feeling of like these cards should be banned? Getting sacked by one of just feels terrible. Like it's just literal luck at that point. You know what I mean? Like it's just like you can't play around that type of stuff, which is kind of like a cool element of the game. But it just still doesn't feel like a good old kick to the dick when you are holding a hand trap or something and you end up getting called by or crossed out as like, you know, like that's your gotcha moment. But they're like, I'm better than you. I open my one of. But that's like main character energy, which this RB player ended up going all the way to the finals, but sadly losing in the finals. I mean, he was the main character for at least 3 rounds. I ended up getting a bye too, so there should be 4 rounds, but the bye comes in. I was doing so terrible. The game blessed me with the bye. Brute Brelouse is able to attack twice here for enough for game, because that's crazy amount. I'm just like looking, I was like, yeah, there's nothing I could do. So we just scoop it up and go on into a game 2 scenario. I do not know if even establishing Caesar would have like allowed me to be better off. Like looking at his hand and how he played and everything, I don't know if Caesar would have come up at all, to be honest with you. But anyway, we're just going to see the... Oh, look at his hand there. Man, yeah, he's the main character. 3 hand craps, or 4 hand craps and a 1-card starter, man. What the... Now, see, here's Rage right here. And I attempt to go and destroy the Rage, and this is what's upsetting, right? This is kind of what's kind of tilts me here in this game, is because Rage is FUA insurance, right? So, literally, if I did not see Rage, and I saw any of my other cards and I got FUA'd, I literally summon the Rage, tribute another DDD, shut off his entire hand from all those monster effects, minus the Imperm, right? And I just beat through an Imperm, and it's just so infuriating. And I have Cross Out in my hand, too, on top of it. On top of it all, I have Cross Out, which I can Cross Out Imperm. But, like... it's just like bad variance, you know, at this point. So it's like, man, if I didn't see this card, so he's even reading the card because I'm telling him like, man, I was like, this is my FUA insurance. You're just darn lucky that my deck decided to reward me this card. But this card has literally been floating to my hand to the point where I think it's either a sleeve malfunction or something that I'm cutting it. I don't care anymore. I'm over. I'll just, like I said, I'll main deck 3 Drolls if I have to. Like I'm over this card. This card literally has caused me to brick so bad. And the argument is like, oh, it's a low scale, so you can use it. But no, even as a low scale, it does just right. The card's just freaking terrible. Busted effect, you know, but maybe you can side it so that way when you know you're going into a FUA, you know you can have it. But I still just disagree. I was all for this card because in testing it worked phenomenal. Because like I said, in this scenario, if I didn't open it, as you can see what I'm doing, I would be able to summon it out. If I had Extender, tribute the Extender, continue playing, then like... the other hand traps you showed, the Bell, Ash, and the Nib are dead in his hand. He could only draw literally Imperm, and I would have Cross Out for Imperm. So, like, it's just, again, bad variance. Such bad variance. Not much can be done. But we're just trying to play through, man. So we played through Imperm, you know, checking a Cross Out of it. FUA, we're still working through that. A Bell on the Soldier's effect, which is horrible for us, but we're still trying. Gilgamesh to place 2 scales, which means, man, if we can get to William King Kell, we can still be in it. But I think that we're not going to be able to make it. Sadly, we just, you know, he's the main character, man. He's just the main character. What can I say? At this point, too, like, I guess knowing after seeing the hand, like he showed the camera, like knowing that Nib is now going to be coming, like, it's just kind of wild. But I think I have a hand trap, too, so it's like I'm hoping that he just bricks, or like no, I don't think I have a hand trap. Like, I literally was like, man, if I just... he's going to have 1 hand trap. Or no, a 1 starter, and I don't have any hand traps to stop the 1 starter. So I Pendulum Summon out 1 with the... just Pendulum Summon. And then, of course, on the Summon of Copernicus, trigger the Ragnarok to bring back out the Land Soldier. Use Land Soldier's effect to increase its level by 2 to make it 4. And we're just going to keep trying, man. That's all we can do. You know, hand traps are, you know, every hand trap's a hard once per turn, but Imperm, so we can just keep on playing. So I go here, and I attempt to go effect here, detach to search. And he's checking everything here. I don't know if he intended for this to resolve, but no, he's going to Ash the search. So he drew Ash on top of it all and chain the Nib to it all. And it's just like, dang, it's so unlucky, man. It's just so, and it's like, even watching it over, I can just still feel myself. I'm just like, man, it's just so crazy because that if I just had King Rage in the deck and I didn't open it, like it just would have punished this FUA pretty hard. He would probably have to shuffle back if I was able to do something, but it is what it is. Throw me a pack of sleeves for a token, but I have like, you know, a field center there. I just set one card, which I think is Dark Contract too, which is just another insult. Like, I drew both bricks in this hand, which is just so terrible. But we just gotta hope, like, hey, maybe you just, hopefully this is all you've been able to draw as hand traps and you have no starter, you know what I mean? Hope it's enough. But it will not be, as you can tell by the tone of my voice. Their boy here was the main character. Or no, that's Machina Redeployment. Pitching the Citadel, it looks like. And I'm going to Imperm the, which is, oh, I had Imperm, okay. So I guess I don't know, right? So he had the Gear Frame on top of it all. So I guess maybe I should have not done that. But, you know, hindsight's always 20/20. It just seemed like a pretty good, like, you know, Machina discard to search 2. Come on, like, why would, if you had the ability to ash that or negate that, I would use it. And since Imperm literally was my only answer to that, like, I really kind of thought like maybe that's his only starter. Knowing now, seeing his hand, like, yeah, it was incorrect, but I don't think that was the right call by say. But anyway, Vulcan Booster is going to go ahead and do its thing. Grab Funk Duck to add RB Landing. RB Landing is not a once per turn. He's going to be able to summon out from the deck his, the Bullet, I believe. Bullet destroys itself. Look at my hand. He sees its Dark Contract. Oh, so I did open the Dark Contract, yeah. And then I can special summon it. And then he summons out the Saber with Funk Dock. I think that's what that one is. Oh, the Blade, excuse me, Lambda Blade. And then if this card is special summon, you can send an RB card from your deck to the graveyard. And then quick effect, you can pay 1,400 target one monster opponent controls, destroy this card. If you do take control, a Snatch Steal. Essence. But he plays, well, I forget which one he plays. It's the one that, like, when it attacks, it allows you to destroy everything. And then he's able to swing twice with the Brute Blues. And that's just enough for game, yeah. Just very unfortunate game 3 here, or game 2. I'm pretty sure, no, that was game 3. No, that was 2-0. That was a swift 2-0, never mind. So we get to go on to match number 2 here versus Dracotel, and this is my buddy Drayton. He's been trying to learn Dracotel, and he's been trying to get better at the game in general, so me and him have been meeting up quite a bit to test. So this is like a bittersweet match here. Because he ends up, spoiler alert, ends up taking it from me. Or as you, it's not really much a spoiler. I've told you guys the viewer discretion's advised. Like, I get completely butted here. So it's really nice to see that my man has been able to learn and actually apply stuff and finally, you know, be able to beat me, which is really awesome. Because for a while, it didn't matter what deck I played. He just didn't want to learn. You know what I mean? But now he's finally have like a fire lit in him to learn. And he's like been really studying and learning the game and just, you know, props to him. But he throws Effector like Copernicus. I go ahead and summon out the Scale Surveyor to go ahead and make the Solomon. And then Solomon we will detach to go ahead and search another DD. Effective Veiler on the first thing, though, you know, like, we've been trying to work on that, though. We've been trying to work on that with him. I've been trying to tell him, like, hey, you don't hand trap the first, you don't always have to hand trap the first thing that happens. I was like, you got to kind of read and evaluate and know, like, what other decks do to, like, understand. But because, like, it's like, what do you call it? It's 50-50, right? Sometimes, like, throwing your hand trap at the first thing passes turns. You know what I mean? But sometimes I've seen more often when people just throw their hand traps inappropriately and just lose. So a deck is able to play through, like, 2 to 3 hand traps because the hand traps are thrown incorrectly. So that is what I was trying to get at here. But, I mean, like, you know, it is DDDs. I did have enough extenders. Effective on a Copernicus is not that bad of a throw, especially since it's not your traditional one-card starter in the form of Queen Machinex or Kepler. We end up going to Gilgamesh to place Orthros and Ragnarok over there. Then we're just gonna, I think I'm looking at my hand, we're gonna pen or special summon out the Griffin, link off into Zeus, which is insane. Again, Zeus touches down. And then see, like, I could trigger Ragnarok here. Oh, I see that. But no, I go ahead and use Orthros to target itself, target the contract, destroy both of them to summon, and then of course that triggers the Queen. The Queen comes out, use Zeus to destroy Queen. Queen replaces itself, so I get 2 Pendulum summons. So I'm able to synchro here into a Siegfried. And also with Droplets being played a lot more in the game, it's also really nice here. Second Pendulum Summon there for people watching. And then on the second Pendulum Summon, trigger the Ragnarok to reborn out the Lance Soldier. But Droplets being played more is just pretty sweet because Siegfried is going to be very powerful, especially with the Forbidden Crown coming out as well. Like, you're going to be able to chain anything to, as long as it's not a monster effect, and then chain Siegfried, wow. Too many Freeds, but chain Siegfried to it to negate it. But we summon Clovis effect to reborn. I don't know if I want to do that. See, I see a line, like, I can summon out King Tel. I could have summoned out a level 4 and made a rank 4 and then had, like, a huge, like, Zeus. Or a huge Machina, Deus Machina. But instead I decided to go this route here. Because, oh yeah, I didn't have access. I messed up and forgot to send with King Tel again. That was the one thing about those locals that I got drilled into my head was always, always, always send off King Tail, and I forgot it so many times that like now like I literally dream about it. I dream about sending King Tail. But Willis is staring down a pretty formidable DDD board. I don't think I really did any misplays here. I don't think like maybe I could have possibly did a different route to get a Dark Contract like the Trapper or the Witch in rotation. But for the most part, this is still a pretty big board. You have a total of like 2 Gobbles or 3. Let's see, boom, 2 Gobbles with the Zeus, 2 Negates with the Caesar, and a Siegfried Negate and a Zeus Negate as well, which is quite big. But he super polys me. He takes over Siegfried and he leaves me the Caesar, which was very interesting. He summons out Garua. I think my set card is also called by. He goes and activates Ketu, and I was like, man, can I'm pretty sure I can Caesar this, because I'm pretty sure I can Caesar it. I end up asking our judge, I was like, hey, can I Caesar this since it has the ability to special summon? And our judge ruled it that yes, since I can, even if it since it has the effect that includes the special summon, I can Caesar, which makes me wonder if I could. I'm pretty sure then I could Caesar Ketu even if I didn't even. Well, I'd have a monster regardless, so it doesn't matter. Never mind. I was like, if I didn't control a monster, could he? But he goes Rahu here, and I'm just gonna, of course, negate that with Caesar. And I'm like, oh, and he's like looking. He's like, I didn't understand the error of his ways here. He's like, oh, I should have got the Caesar, but Caesar's water actually, so like I don't think he could have. He could have gone Mud Dragon, I think, right? But we see a tribute summon with Urgula, and then I'm just gonna call by the Garura there because I don't want him. He has no cards in hands after the Urgula, and I was like, yep, I just don't want you to do that. And this is a big misplay on my part. I forget that, and as sure as everyone does, that Caesar has 2 different effects, or he has 3 effects in his card. Like, I should have been boosting the Zeus and the Caesar up by 1800, but I completely forgot that. So we just gotta, as we learn and we play, we try to get better and improve and try to remember these things. But again, I'm not trying to take too much into it because this deck will probably be something that I try to tackle after this regional on the 25th. I plan to really, really sit down and try to learn some DDDs. Unless the new Medicius archetype comes out and it ends up being a synchro-based archetype, then I probably will deep dive down that if it's a theme that I really enjoy. That's really kind of what I'm patiently waiting for. I've also thought about tinkering more with Dark Lords since, that deck is really, like, it's close to me. Since it was the first deck I ever got an invite with was Dark Lords way back in, like, 2016 or something. But we end up summoning out Zeus on top of Caesar, trigger the Ragnarok to bring back out the Siegfried, and then we banish to summon out Arc Crisis. And then this is just going to be enough for a game here. And then, of course, I'm telling him, since I banished Clovis and banished the Solomon, whatever I destroy, you take damage equal to the attack. So it was going to be more than enough for a game. And we're on to game 2 here. Game 1, we did our best here. One of the issues with DDDs that I've noticed in my testing is that you have a lot of redundancy. You have a lot of seeing like multiple 1-card starters, like 2 Kepler, which suck to see, 2, Queen you don't want to see, 2 Gates you don't want to see. So it's just, it has the redundancy of seeing these so-called 1-card starters multiple times, and it's all right. I mean, but that's why I really like Count Surveyor, because Count Surveyor allows you to, it's kind of like a 1.5 card combo. It's like a 1.5 card starter in a way, because you have to have a discard, and you play so many different names you can do it. And sometimes pitching an additional Griffin to the graveyard to reborn later to get that search is pretty crazy. But we see the activation of Rahu, and we respond with a Fua, because we want cards, because our hand is kind of brutal. And that's one thing also I've noticed, that it must be my luck, because I only play, I think, 15 non-engine, or 18 non-engine, 15 are hand traps. And, like, are you serious that I end up constantly seeing hands of all nothing but hand traps and not even a 1-card starter? But we see, I think we saw Fine Mama activate to fuse into our Therion, maybe? Is that what ends up happening? No, we see a fusion summon into the Secretarian or whatever it is. Okay. I mean, that's still pretty decent. I wonder if probably because he has enough gas to go through Arthurion later. That would be my guess, is he's going to have the gas to go into Arthurion. He's going to attempt to use the Secretarian to reborn back out. I end up throwing Impulse. He sets a card, and I think he ends up passing, which is good for me, man. I hope this is enough. But I don't think I have enough hand traps to, like, to justify, or enough starters, right? So I hit him with Fua and Impulse. He ends up bringing back out the Urgula. Bringing out Urgula. Then we see the activated Ketu. He searches out Fine Mama. So I know he has Fine Mama in hand. I think I caught another glimpse of Effect Veiler in his hand. I must have missed how he summoned out the Urgula, because I thought I impulsed the Secretarian here. I'm pretty sure that's Secretarian, right? Yeah, Secretarian. I thought I impulsed the effect to summon back, because he puts one to the bottom, summons back. So I didn't quite catch. I was just reading some of the cards here, so I noticed he's getting ready to link one. I was like, actually, bro, you can't. You're locked into fusions because of Rahu. And he's like, oh, yeah. You're right. Good catch. We try here at Team COG to keep, honest game states. So we try to hit him with a fat evenly. Oh, that's something else I completely forgot. Yeah, so I lose, I win, right? So into the next game, he decides to make me go first, and I open all my non-engine because he didn't want to be evenly. And that's the first thing he said. He's like, I don't want to get evenly, because he remembers, if you guys remember the last week's Versus series, I ended up getting a fat evenly off of him. So he remembered that. He was traumatized. So I end up throwing an evenly at him on like turn three, yeah. Going through my battle phase, activating the Dark Contract to hopefully resolve. He's just reading some things real quick in his extra deck. Just wants to make sure he can legally activate them. He can use them. So he looks like he's trying. So he ends up fusing here with the Fine Mama into Gulamel, and then actually we see a chain link. So we search out a Kepler. Okay, yeah. So we're resolving the chain link. So it resolved the gate to search out the Kepler. Then he resolves Pan and I think Pan to set Flame, and then Shadal Squamata to send. I think he should send Dragon here to get a draw, but I think he decides to send Beast to get a pop, which a pop. It doesn't seem. Yeah, he sends Beast to pop the Dark Contract, which that is neither here nor there, but it is like spot removal here. So we see a cut, and we get to kind of try to keep playing here. We normal summon the Kepler effect. He ends up effect-veiling the Kepler, and I was like, ooh, brother, ooh. And that was like our one card starter, you know what I mean? Like, it was our one card starter and a dream. And I'm looking at these other cards in my hand, and I've already taken damage because I remembered he went to battle phase, so like I can't afford anything. So we just wrap it up here and going into a game 3 scenario where I really, really, really thought about pulling the same thing he pulled onto me, but I decided to stick to the game plan, and go first. I activate the Queen Machinex to go ahead and place the Dark Contract. Activate Dark Contract. He ashes the Dark Contract of the gate, which is okay because I activate Dark Contract with King Rage, use its effect to destroy, and then summon from the deck. So we bring out, I think, Copernicus effect to dump, which we're going to go ahead and just, of course, dump down the Lance Soldier. And then we can go ahead and use Lance Soldier's effect. I think that's what we do, right? Lance Soldier? Right, and we special him Scale Surveyor to increase its level. So we go ahead and increase its level up here to 4 to make King Solomon. We go King Solomon effect. He effect Veilers Solomon, and I'm like, dang. So we go ahead and use Land Soldier's effect, sacking off the Dark Contract to summon it out. So we get a body on the field, which something that should happen here is the Land Soldier should get banished, but I don't catch that here. But we end up getting nibbed here, which is okay because I was able to successfully get to, well, it's not okay. I was able to get to our slime to the graveyard, which means I can make a potentially, a Genghis, and then at least make a Deuce Machina, because my rest of my hand's not too good after this. But like, what the hell, man? Like, game 1, game 2, all the players opening 3 hand traps. Like, literally, that's insane. And like, I'm over here praying to open one, and it's like I'm playing sometimes equally. I literally looked at the Drake. I literally helped my buddy Drayton here build Draco Tail. So like, I know his hand trap list and count is the same as mine, but like, he's opening like double Veiler, Ash, all this stuff, and I'm over here just maybe getting into like 1 Imperm or something. It must be the sleeves, man. It has to be the sleeves. The sleeves are doing me dirty. I always double sleeve because like where my office is and everything like that, where I record, and I guess you can call it my studio, my war room, however you call it. It's just used to get really humid and my cards would warp, and I don't really want my expensive cardboard to warp, so I've just gotten the habit of always double sleeving. But maybe that time's starting to pass. Maybe I should go back to just normal single sleeving. I'm trying to think of a play here, so I end up going here into our King Genghis, and I'm just looking, I was like, man, if I could get one more card out, I could at least make Gilgamesh, but I can't. So I smack on Machina X, and I see that I have essentially a 2 Gobbles with Machina X. That's the plan, right? But Nib checks Machina X. He just goes battle phase, crashes with Nib, and that's all she wrote. And I think I might actually have a hand trap or 2, as I was literally complaining about having no hand traps, but I might have a hand trap or 2. And I mean, it's enough, right? But as long, I'm kind of hoping, I was like, maybe he'll try to play without going to battle phase, but he proves me wrong. He goes right to battle, and I'm forced to deal with it. So we end up getting into the battle phase here. and, you know, wax over. I'm able to trigger the Queen Machinex in the extra deck to summon itself out. Even though it sucks because he didn't commit. That's kind of what I was hoping. He would, you know, he'd commit a little bit more, but he played smart. He read the field, and he ends up going battle phase. And now my Machinex comes out to chum block, but that's about all it's doing here. And I really, really need to survive. Just for sure, I need to hopefully survive, and I can get another one-card starter. But I'm going to impulse the... Ooh, that's Cartesia. So he actually he got Cartesia. I impulsed the Cartesia, and I'm looking to see, and I was like, I don't have a trap in graveyard, which kind of sucks for me. I wish I had a trap in grave at least to get that card off the field, because he's not going to fuse his turn, but during my turn he can fuse. And that's going to be really brutal, if you ask me. But it looks like I'm trying to see what he has in his hand, but he passes to me. I draw for turn. This Nib token, I should just switch it to attack and just, you know, do the same thing he did to me, just attempt to go battle phase. Force the fusion summon. At least maybe if he goes into Arthurion, he might bounce back the Machinex to my hand, so then I can, so then I can equip it, or not equip it, but place in the scale and stuff. But yeah, we correct something. That Machinex should be in the, you know, in the extra deck over here. Ooh. Just reading this card because I was like, wait, shouldn't this card go to my thing? So it gets during the standby phase, I can put it to there, but we were like missing. I was like, yeah, I should be able to put it in the standby phase, right? But no, it's just, that's not the case by any means. Sadly, that's not the case. Yeah, we're still just, I'm just like, yeah, it should go right here, right? So we're just, yeah, we're just, like I said, we're still just discussing. I was like, yeah, during the standby phase, this thing should go. But I thought, but I missed it, but I was being an idiot, because that's not what it does. It's if it's on field, you know, so but I thought it was, you know, from the extra deck. I was like, that's crazy, because I can make my scale and stuff like that. That would be wild. I could really use that. But anyway, we're just going to attempt to make Machinex be my first action here, so that way I can at least try to gobble up the Cartesian and make him use the 2 cards in his hand. And he ends up fusing Arthurion effect. And then I was like, oh, sweet, so I can use this to gobble up his Arthurion, too. His Arthalion, excuse me. Detach 2, gobble up. Which is nice. Like I said, that's... Zeus is such a crazy underrated card, because it's just so many interruptions potentially in one card that if the opponent doesn't... Like, that should be, like, a main priority. And it's not just a monster, it's any card. So, like, you can detach or destroy Dark Contract and gobble up any card. And that's what's pretty big. But I'm hoping to be able to slow him down, but looking, you know, he's bouncing back effectively. Like, Arthalion didn't even target Zeus, Machinex here. It targeted cards in his grave, so, like, I was like, oh, no, I might be cooked now. So I just switched this attack mode. I'm forced to go battle phase. And I'm not able to deal enough damage. So that means he has like full crackback and everything. So I mean, like, yeah, that was just the right play. Like, I was really hoping Arthalion would, like, you know, well, no, if Arthalion tried to bounce, I'd gobble it bounce. Like, he'd lose Arthalion. But I mean, like, the end results is still the same, but this way he got more value. So good on him for deciding to bounce back resources instead of getting greedy and trying to bounce back my token and stuff. I mean, it could have been game, right? If I, you know, was better. If I was better, you know what I mean? But he ends up using Horn onto the Machinex, and that's just something like, you know, you can always play around Horn because you just summon in defense, but I mean, like, I didn't summon in defense. It's because I tried to pursue for, like, you know, damage, but I guess maybe hindsight, if I knew this was going to be the long game, I should have, like, kept Machinex into defense, you know, switched back to defense, but anywho, you know, it is sadly what it is. But he's going to go Ketu, grab the Pan, and then Pan's going to be able to pop out, or the fusions, excuse me. Pan's gonna be able to pop the token. So we see Arthalion here. Arthalion, Chainlink 1. Chainlink 2, Pan. I think he can go Chainlink 3. Is that what I'm getting ready to see? Chainlink 3. Yeah, so sets, and then yeah, he's just getting ready to go battle, man. So I activate Fua here just for jokes. I was like, please commit a little bit more. Give me a few more draws, man, at least so I can, maybe you don't kill me. You know, like, it's always the hopes of, like, maybe they won't kill me, right? So, like, that's the hope, is that they don't kill. But the Google Mail comes out as well, which is gonna be enough, man. Just so unfortunate. And I'm just hoping. I was like, maybe he'll, maybe he'll forget and not go battle. You know what I mean? But he ends up normal summoning. I chain another Fuwa, right? And I was like, all right, okay. We're all right. As maybe we can get greedy. Maybe he can draw us into some cards and he will not be able to kill me. I was like, you going to give me 2 draws? You going to give me 2 draws, man? And he does. He gives me 2 draws. But, I mean, that's right there's enough for a game. That's 3, 6, 88. I've already taken, already taken enough. So, I mean, it's okay. Just, always play it out because you never know. Human error is always something to always account for. And you can never control, or you never know when human error might occur. But maybe, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm almost certain he ends up going battle phase. Yeah. But wait, I'm able to hold on. Yeah, that's right, because I opened Orthros, so I take 6,000 or whatever it is I can take, and then I summon Orthros, and the last damage to summon itself. So that way I am able to live. So that's the plan. He'd give me enough draws so I could potentially draw into something and then try to play his turn. Right. Draw for turn. This is where I like that my head goes up because I drew another hand trap. Another freaking hand trap. But I activate Count Saver and Count Saver in the scale. He attempts to flame. I ash it. I activate Ragnarok in the scale, and then if I Pendulum Summon out Orthros, activate. We'll go. I'm reading the scale server because it does have an effect, but it doesn't apply here because he doesn't have 3 of the same type. He has 2 dragons and a spellcaster, so it doesn't work. I attempt to go the effect of, which I think maybe if I triggered the. No, I'm alive. I attempt to go Ragnarok target, and I think honestly, dude, I think I might have been dead here. He's going to go ahead and activate the Sting, man, and the Sting's going to rip it out. And that's enough, and then he can potentially chain to the Sting with the Gula Mail and pop it, but yeah, that's all that wraps up. So we go into Game 3, the final game of the night here. Like I said, I got a bye playing against Archmage, my buddy Ryan. Like, that's one thing about our locals, man, is some of our locals stay really, really devoted to decks, which is, I'm guilty of it too. But we have Archmage stuff activating. I think that's Theorize that he's activating, which allows him to dump for cost a Medicius and then look at the top card of my deck. That's crazy. Like, I think that card, I really hope the Synchro version of this deck, if they give a Synchro theme. But I'm showing you, there's King Rage in my freaking hand again. Like, what are the chances, dude? But he gets to look at the top card of the deck at the resolution and decide if he lets it be my top deck or not. Puts it at the bottom of the deck. I decide to ash the Medicius here. He calls by the grave. Dude, I do not see call by. The amount of times like these people at my locals see call by, like, man, like their just luck is just built different. He attempts to use the Power Patron to fuse. I say call by this loser and throw the Impulse at him, which I guess might be good enough. I know it's the fuse, as long as the Power Patron on the field, he's locked into fusions, but he gets access to Archmagia or Hogwarts, and he's just able to now spiral. Summons Griflair to set. He's going to be able to activate this, and that card would let you place the field spell, but if you already have it, you can just search, which is kind of cool. I really like Archmage. I think I've said it before in a few videos that I really plan on eventually getting this deck. If they decide to make a Synchro theme, and if they do, if it ends up being out garbage, this is like probably the theme that'll end up picked up. Doomsday is cool, but yeah, I'm alright. I'm not a big fan of like the Doomsday stuff. I do think like if you guys look up at the lore and anything like that, like Archmage is such a crazy, cool lore so far, and it's only 2 archetypes in. Essentially, if you guys don't want to listen to this, you're all right to not listen to it. But essentially, there's like a giant world war, and there's cities that have these wars. Archmagia won the war, and they came out on top, but their forces are deplenished. That's why they're trying to train like the new generation so that they can replenish their forces. And Doomsday, one of the other city-states or countries, decides to attack. Every country or city-state has a power patron. And of course, you have the owl, which is for Minerva, and then the dragon and Juniper is for Doomsday and stuff. So we're going to see maybe 2 more, 3 more city-states or city or nations that are either going to be involved, either as allies or, as allies, or what do you call it? Enemies. There we go. I couldn't think. But we're still trying. He summons out can never pronounce this freaking card. Dicactros. And that card's an Omni Negate while on field. He has Griflair's quick shot effect to spell and trap. But I think the one at the very end is Oh, it's like it halves the attack, Grid Mill or something like that. We throw Imperm at Dactyros to go ahead and negate the Omni Negate. I go ahead and literally I activate Rage to allow me to normal summon without using a tribute of a level 5 or higher DDD monster. And I normal summon Ragnarok, and I was like, well, all I can do is make Machinex and just, hope this is enough because the rest of my hand is just straight garbage. I do not understand how I'm done this dirty, but I am. And he ends up we just scoop it up and go into game number 2 here. And I get to go first in game number 2, thank goodness. But, I mean, that doesn't always mean this deck has just been doing me dirty. But we normal summon Kepler. And that's what I found out is, like, the deck really has, like, its interruptions are based on number 1 card starter. So, like, right here, I open Kepler and Machinex. Both equally do the same thing. So, like, the Kepler was just bait. Beat that Imperm. So, my Machinex is able to go off, grab me from deck the Dark Contract with the dog, because we got that dog in us here. He's going to Ash that. And I'm going to go Count Surveyor, pitch the other copy. This is what I was talking about redundancy. Another copy of Queen Machinex to go ahead and search out a DDD with 0 attack or 0 defense, which I think I go for Copernicus. The bad thing about ashing the Dark Contract Gate with the dog, is what I'm going to call it, is that it keeps the Machinex in scale. And that makes Gilgamesh less impactful, and that is sometimes, Gilgamesh is so powerful. Not a lot of things outside of Imperm can interact with it, so, I mean, it is what it is. I look like I have Draw in my deck as well, which is kind of, probably Cook's Archmage, believe it or not. So I got to try and do my best, which I'm just looking. I was like, damn, what do I even add? Like, I don't have another way to complete my Pendulum Scales because of that. I don't have any way to... Yeah, it's just kind of brutal. So I end up adding Copernicus here. I mean, maybe I might have another scale? Maybe. And I'm even thinking, I was like, maybe I don't go for Copernicus. We end up making Gilgamesh, smacking on, I think all we're going to end up doing is smacking on Machinex. Oh, I do complete the scale. Okay, so I complete the scale and I Pendulum summon out 2. 1 and... I think I'm 1 in 7 or 1 in 8. I end up going up into Zeus. I end up using Zeus probably to destroy the Scale Surveyor. I think that's what I do, so I can Pendulum summon again, and then I'm able to make Gilgamesh and then go into a Zeus Machinex or something like that. Which is okay. Right, yep, so that's exactly what I do. And I end up making a second Gilgamesh. And that's my turn. And I essentially have a Gobble 2 with Machinex and then a Hand Negate with the Zeus. And that's it. I gotta hope that is enough. I hope that Archmage is bricked up here and can't play. He tried to. I think that's... Yeah, I think that's right. Just watching here. See what he does. I remember this game was like, we were both like really pretty bricky here. Griflare activates in the hand, so like I could use the effective, so you activate, he attempts to special summon out, and I think I can chain Tube it with Zeus to gobble up the field spell to keep him from it. Yes, that's what I do. I end up using Machinex to attempt to gobble. And then now I can use it again to gobble up the Griflare, I think. Then you can chain Griflare. And he gets to add another copy of Hogwarts. Yeah, so I mean, throwing his cards around there. This deck is so cool, man. I really do enjoy this deck. I do apologize. I mean, there's just... You can only talk so much about... I think this is Assault. Assault allows him to... And Assault's pretty crazy because it's going to protect the field spell, but it adds a Medicius again, which is really awesome. Adds Medicius. And then... Medicius is such a cool card. Like, I really, really hope Konami does, like, the Synchro version. If they end up doing a Synchro theme, they do it justice, man. That's what I hope. I really, really hope that's what they end up doing, is some good justice. Because the last synchro theme in the Visas archetype was like Menadium, and I was so excited for Menadium. But then, like, I did not appreciate what they turned. Their Prime Heart, their boss monster, was just garbage. And well, every other boss monster in the entire deck was like useful, but Prime Heart wasn't. I just want playable boss monsters. That's all I want, man. Playable boss monsters. He's going to attempt to fuse, and I'm going to chain to the fuse to gobble up Medicius and hope that Deactros requires Medicius. That's literally what I'm hoping for. I'm like, man, I really hope that it's just not 2 Archmage monsters. So I decide to attach the Medicius and hope he can't fuse, and hopefully that'll be enough to get us into a Game 3 scenario. He goes Talents, and dude, Talent. Everyone's seeing that freaking Wasaki one-ofs, man. Does me dirty. But regardless, you know, I think he goes Talents to draw 2. And, maybe my man Ryan should have done Talents to take, and then... But I mean, like, he couldn't do anything with it. Never mind. What am I talking about? He's locked in his fusions. So, like, maybe... Yeah, never mind. He was right. Draw 2. Draw 2. He was right. Just reading now. You know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, it's hard to read. So he drew his 2 cards. He's thinking on what to do. I gotta remember that Kepler. He normal summons Medicius, which he did not do. He has not normal summoned yet. Uses the effect to target, and it... Oh, yeah, so he could use it, and it turns it into an Archmage, which allows him to contact fuse into their giant boss monster, which is Minerva. And I was like, dude, no way. That's crazy. Conveniently, I mean, not even really conveniently, I just get completely clapped by Minerva here, the power patron Minerva. But since a DDD was destroyed, Queen triggers allow me to summon it and destroy a card on field, which means Minerva is going to be brought down by the Queen Machinex here. Now, we just got to hope. We just got to hope that this is enough to get me to that Game 3 where I can just side hard and keep going. So instant passing, I draw for turn. It's kind of... Minerva's a full-on, like a full board wipe, like a Black Rose, which is kind of wild. So he ends up drawing 1 card. I think I have Imperm set too. So I think he's going to try and go Medicius, pitch. He goes Medicius, pitch, I Imperm. No, he passes. I end up normal summoning Copernicus effect to dump, and then of course right here I just can send Necro Slime, then I can banish Necro Slime, go into... Yeah, like, we're off to the races now, because it goes Necro Slime, can banish summon Genghis, link into Gilgamesh place scales, trigger that to summon... Like, yeah, we're pretty... We're off, man. We're off pretty well. But I was sitting there thinking, I was like, maybe I just go into the big Genghis or something like that. Go into big Genghis, so that way I can, like, negate something, you know, like, I'm able to play into something. So I end up going into big Genghis, and I was like, battle phase, and he's like, yeah, he saw enough, man. He saw enough. So we get ready to go into that all-important game number 3. Where Archmage is going to get to go first, and yeah, we're just going to go. And we're just going to go off here into game number 3, the ability to search Medicius. On the Adam Medicius, I'm going to chuck the Droll and Lockbird. This card should have been put on the list and redesigned some way, but it wasn't. So while it's there, we're going to use it to check this type of stuff here. But he's going to end up activating the... I think that's Assault, which again, like Assault either... If you don't control it, you get to place it, and then if you do, you get to add. So he places out the Hogwarts, but Hogwarts says add. We're going to throw Imperm onto Medicius. Finmill gets summoned. I'm pretty sure that's Finmill. Finmill gets, you know, but he can't draw. But that is okay. Link 2 into Masquerena, and then he's going to special out the... Ooh, I forget which one that one is. That one is the one that can bounce back, which is okay. That one's... It's a bounce back, so it allows him to summon out the Power Patron during his turn. Which one is that? That's Littera, excuse me. So he's able to summon Littera. I try to play Good Art Contract with the gate. It resolves. I'm going to hopefully be able... My 1-card starter... Hopefully it resolves. I go ahead and grab the Queen. To the Queen. We activate the Queen. Queen effect. Go ahead and place. Not a lot of things interact here, so, but at any moment he does have IP into SP, which is still brutal. Getting rid of my scales would be pretty good. So for sure, we end up placing the Dark Contract with Dog, Dark Contract with the Dog to destroy the Queen, to go ahead and summon out Copernicus name, or Copernicus, Lord have mercy. We'll get to dump the the soldier's effect, and we get flipped with some left wall jank that is just conveniently good. It's the Archmage Trap, which allows him to bounce an Archmage from hand. It's right here. I got it right here. Archmage Perpetua Turmoil. Target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, return an Archmage monster you control in hand, and then special summon that target to your field. So he gets to take my soldier, and he's going to be able to synchro or link off into SP with it, which is just insane. And it's like every Archmage list I've seen doesn't even play this card. So that's the joy, but also the bad thing of locals, man. It's the joy of locals because you get to see these off-the-wall type of stuff, but it's bad because no one would be playing these things outside of locals. But since I was just curious, so the soldier gets to resolve as much as possible, summoning out the effect here. And I do think I'd make a misplay here. I think that it's all one effect. I can't remember, but I get to summon out the Queen here, and he ends up banishing the Queen on summon with the SP, so I get to destroy on resolution with Queen. SP gets to destroy, and I just got to hope that this is enough to be able to, survive. But the Latera comes back down. On the Latera, he gets to add. He adds another Assault, which I think, again, like I said, since he controls Archmage, he can add any... Yep, so he gets to add that. Or a Medicius. No, that one adds a Medicius. He gets an additional normal summon. I throw Ash Blossom here, hoping. But we get to see now. Which one is that? That's not Assault. Which one is that? Because Assault's the one that's right down there. That's Archmage Vandalism Assault. And then he's activating the Archmage Varnished. Okay, okay. I have the cards pulled up so I can at least, say proper names, I hope, but sometimes it's hard to see on the camera here. But we're just hanging on. This is literally an Archmage cutscene. As long as he's going to be able to get to damage, we are, we're there. He has enough for damage, I'm pretty sure. So he sets the other trap, which is the Archmage Pack Awakening, which that card's actually pretty crazy. It's one of those, traps you want to discard off of the field spell, but, also if you open it, it's a very strong card in itself. But yeah, we're just letting the Archmage, at locals, I always believe, let them play out their turns, because locals is learning experience, so, let them learn, let them play out their turns so they see interactions and stuff, because even though, the same situation might come up, but they might be against, a better board or something like that. So he summons Fimmill gets him a draw, and yeah. Power, and then he just attempts to go battle phase, and I think he ends up being short by, 100. He just ends up being short by 100, which is okay for me, right? Draw for turn. Let's see here. What can we do? We activate Dark Contract. See if it resolves. He goes Awakening, which is going to be a pretty hectic card. Still just sitting here. It's all she wrote, man. There's not much more to say here. So, we're not going to be able to break this board. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for next week's Versus series. And thank you guys so much for hanging out here at Team COG. You guys stay safe, stay healthy. You know the drill, man. This is Team COG signing out.